Hey everyone, it's Jordan here. A few weeks ago, the youth group at the church I go to was wanting to raise money doing a silent auction so that they could raise money for some of their youth camps coming up this summer. And so I was tasked with coming up with a solution, a technology solution, so that the participants would come, bid in real time on their cell phones, watch the bids per item, and hopefully raise more money for these kids. And so as I looked into it, obviously we were wanting to minimize costs just simply because we wanted the money, 100% of the donations going to the youth rather than taking out a percentage for processing, etc. And so I looked and looked, found many solutions. There's a ton of online silent auction solutions. However, most of them take a percentage of what you raise, or they have an upfront fee. I was really unable to find a really cheap free solution. And so I actually created my own with free tools that everyone has access to. And so without further ado, I want to show you what I created and how you can benefit from it and hopefully raise money for any type of groups or charities that you might encounter. Okay, and with that, I'm going to jump over to my computer screen here and show you how easy this is to set up. We're going to be using Google Suite, so Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Forms. So you can see here I'm just logged in my Gmail account. I've blocked out my personal information so you can't see any of my emails here. You're just going to come over here, click this little grid, go down to Drive. It'll open up kind of the Drive window. Click New, and then More, Google Forms. So this, you can call it whatever you want. If it's a company XYZ silent auction, whatever you want to call it. Then typically the first question, the way I designed mine is I had this be the auction items, and you want this to be a short or a drop down. So you can say item A, item B, item C. The nice thing about doing it this way is we had items that were donated at the door, which I wouldn't recommend, but this way you can actually scale it in real time. So if someone shows up and wants to donate something last minute, it's not like you have to reprint a bunch of bid sheets or anything like that. You can scale it in real time. And you can scale it as big as you want. So I wouldn't recommend more than about 20 to 30 items, depending on your audience. And if you need to, you can bundle. We actually had like 45 items donated, and so we ended up doing three or bundles of three. So we bundled a bunch of stuff together just to minimize time, and you don't want to dilute the other bids down. Okay, the other thing I would recommend is some way to track, so you can either do name or bidder number if that's the way you're doing it. If you're assigning people a number at the door. Again, this will be anonymous. No one will see this but whoever is running the bid. And so you can have them safely put their name and no one will see it. Maybe contact information, whether that's an email or some sort of phone number, something like that. And then we also put a preferred payment method. I spelled that wrong. And this could be Venmo, cash, check, or some other, depending, you might have Stripe or some other payment processing. And so the other thing I'd recommend is making that any field that you want, that you have to capture, make it required so that they can't submit the form without having an answer to that question. Okay, and then obviously the last one and probably the most important is the actual bid itself. And for this, you're going to want it to be a short answer, but then you're going to click down here on these three little dots and choose response validation. And what this is going to do is it's going to require them to, because otherwise you might receive numbers like written out, like 22 written out in words. So you want this to be a number, and you want it to be a whole number. And the reason I did a whole number here is just because I wanted to push the value of the auction up. And if you don't do this, you may have guys that are coming in, guys or girls coming in at $3.99, and then the next bidder will bid $4 and then $4.01. And to minimize that, I just made it be a whole number and then just put please round bid to nearest dollar, just to make it easy. And that's the text that they're going to see on the form. I'll show you that in a minute. And again, this needs to be required. The other thing that this is going to do is on the sheet that we link to this form, it's going to make sure that the data works. I'll show you what I mean. So let's just make sure that all these are required. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So once you get your form populated, and again, you can build all kinds of stuff. You can do multiple choice. You can do check boxes, drop downs, paragraphs. I mean, if you want to write a little description about each item, you could also do that. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how to link this to Google Sheets. So you just click here on responses, click the three little dots, and click select response destination. So what this is going to do is as people submit the forms, it's going to send the data from the form into a spreadsheet. So you can, if you have an existing spreadsheet you want to put it in, you can. I'm just going to create a new one called silent auction responses and create that. And it should place this file in the same folder that your form is in. So let's call this form company XYZ. Okay, so you're just going to come back here to the drive. And I created mine in a folder called silent auction. So they should both be in here when I click on this. So there we go. Our company XYZ silent auction and our sheet that's linked to it. Okay. So let's jump back here into the sheet, go to responses, make sure that this was clicked, that it's accepting responses. And then this is where, if you have a time you're going to shut off your auction, this is where you'll go to turn it off. But for now, we're going to leave it open. And then you can also design it if you want to get really creative. You can upload an image if you have a company banner or a church banner, whatever it is. I like the color blue. You can always preview it. So this is what it's going to look like. So this is what they'll do on their phones. They'll go down and choose the item they want to bid on, put in their name, put in their contact information, so their email, test@gmail.com, and then I want to pay by Venmo, and my bid is going to be $35. Click submit. And then the nice thing about this is once you send them a link to this form, they can just keep this open on their phone, and then as the evening progresses, if they want to bid again, they just click here, go down to item B, put in their name and blah, 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 give another bid and click submit. So I'm actually going to do a couple of test bids so that we have some data to play with so I can show you how that works, and then I'll jump back on and show you what happens in real time. Okay, so what I've gone through is I've actually submitted about 8 responses with just some faulty information to show you how it works. So when you go back to your response or your survey, you can, where we were entering it, you can see the responses in real time. So here you get a summary of what's been submitted and the actual individual responses. You can see here was the first one we did together with my bid, and you can just scroll through these. You can also delete certain responses if you need to. But again, this isn't super informative for those at the auction. So now I'm going to show you how that integrated with our sheet. So you go back to the folder on the drive where we were, click on silent auction responses, and you'll see that it has a timestamp. It has, this is where all the data is going, and then the name, the names, the emails, preferred cash payment, and then the bids over here. So you'll say, well, yeah, that's great. That's not super informative either. Well, I'm going to show you how to fix this. So the way I did it is you have to I guess anticipate how many bids you're expecting to get for the evening. So I had no idea. So I just said add 1,000 rows to the bottom. And then what you're going to want to do is select this array. So go make sure you're getting all your data, all the columns, and then scroll clear down as far as you can. Hold the shift key and select all of those rows. So you can see that I can have data. I could receive up to 1,000 bids, and this is still going to work. You may have 10,000. I don't know. Just you can add as many as you need to. Just make sure you select them all. If I want to do another 1,000, I just say add another 1,000. Hold the shift key, select those. Scroll up to the top and make sure that you're selecting the actual data. Okay, then you're going to come up here and click data, and then click pivot table. Okay. So this is going to be a pivot table for those of you that use Excel. This will be easy. For those of you that don't, just stay with me. So in the rows column, so that's going to be here. What do we want? So click add field. This is where we want the auction items. Okay, so you can see it's already gone through and pulled item A, item B, item C, item D. Okay, and then in the values field, we're going to want the bid. And then this is how you could summarize either way, but we want the maximum bid. That's the only bid we care about. Okay, so now what does this tell you? So let me just tell you, I hid this, hide that row, so it's just showing a summary, and then you can zoom in. You can zoom by holding the command or control shift, whatever, and fit this to the screen so that you can see. So this is a pivot table that's summarizing the data. It's pulling the maximum bid by each item. Now what's crazy about this is in Excel you have to go in and manually and refresh the data. But with Google Docs it's doing it in real time. So if we were to go back here and let's actually, I need to make my zoom out. So let's submit another response here and let's take a look here. So let's see, item A is at $444. I want to bid on that. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to choose item B or item A. I don't know my name, my contact information. I'm going to pay by cash. And let's say I want to get it for $450. As soon as I click submit, if we jump back here, you saw it update. So it happens that fast in real time. So now item A is up to $450. So the way we did this is we put this screen up on a projector, projected it on a screen so that the audience could see the items in real time as they were being bid. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you here is you need to get rid of this show totals. So the way it's working now, you can tell that that's actually not the sum. So what it's doing is it's returning the max of all of these values, which we don't care about in this case. So you want to get rid of that. And then at the end of the auction, what I did is I just went up and, let me zoom in here. I just went up and selected these cells, and then down here in the bottom, you can choose this to be whatever you want, but we chose sum, so then I can say, oh, we raised $2,600 at the end of the evening. And that was super exciting. When I walked up and did this, and then we announced what we had raised, and of course everybody breaks out into a round of applause, and it was a super good experience. So make sure you do that. The other thing you can do here is how you want these to sort. So the reason I went with like A, B, C, and D is simply because I wanted them to display in order so that it wasn't hard for people to find out which items were where on this sheet. And you can sort those by ascending, by descending, by auction items, or by the max of the bid. So in this case, we want to do it by ascending by auction item. And so that way, for example, if you had 20 items and only 2 had been bid on, there will only be 2 here, but they'll be in alphabetical order. And if somebody bids on, say somebody had bid on D and A, so we had D and A, then somebody bids on C, it will bump D down and automatically put C where it goes, so it's easy to find. So you want to make sure you do the sorting right so that it shows up in real time. So that's how this part works. Now I'm going to show you how to integrate this so people can bid on their cell phones. So you're going to jump back here to the actual survey, and you're going to go up here and click send. And you're going to want to send this by a link, okay? So you can either copy and paste this, or you can shorten the URL, and it'll give you this. What I actually did was I copied this, and then I went to bit.ly. Maybe some of you have used this. This is just a URL shortener. So you can paste any link, and it will shorten it. So, and if you actually log in and have an account, which I do, okay, I finally got logged in. The reason I like creating an account, and this is free by the way as well, is because you can actually shorten the URL to be whatever you want. So just come up here and click create bitlink, paste the long URL here. So we copied that, and then we can customize it. So it'll be bit.ly, and you could call it whatever your company XYZ. Okay, and let's click save. Okay, so now if I just open up a blank browser and I go bit.ly/company XYZ, that should reroute to our form, and it does. So there you go. So then what we did is on each table, we had printed out a list of the bidding items so that people could refer to it as they were eating dinner. They would look at the sheet and say, oh, I want to bid on bundle A or item A. And then what we did is we put this URL on that paper, and we also put it up on the screen right here. Next to this we put to bid, please visit bit.ly/company XYZ. And then they could just type that in on their phone. Okay. And then the last thing I want to show you is we also used a QR code, just simply so for those that still use this, bit.ly/company XYZ. Click this create, and there it is. You can download that as a JPEG, and it'll pull it up. Anyways, you don't have to use this one. There's hundreds of QR code generators you can download. But then basically what we did is we also printed this off on the sheet so that as people were eating dinner, if they wanted to, they could just pull up this QR code right here. And I just put that on the sheet with it. So now let me show you one last thing. And to do this, I'm actually gonna jump to my phone browser and show you how easy it is. Okay, so now I'm actually showing you both screens here. So what I'm doing here is showing you in real time the bid. Let me make that actually bigger so you can see it. Okay. And then I've also got my phone pulled up over here, and I'm going to type in that URL. So this is where they could either type in the URL or they could scan the QR code at their dinner table. So it was bit.ly / company XYZ. Go. Oh, misspelled. Company XYZ. Okay, and that loads this up. So this is what people are doing from their table. So they're going to the bid. I want to bid on item D. My name, Bob, blah, blah, blah. Plug in your preferred payment. And then what item do we want to bid on? We bid on item A or item D. It's at 500. I'm going to win that with 1,000. I click submit. And in real time, you'll see that jump up. There's a little bit of a delay because my internet sucks, but if you have a really good internet, it is almost instantaneous. And then as I'm sitting down for dinner, playing on my phone, I can just jump back here, click submit another response. Let's say I want to go for item C. You get the idea, but you just fill out the information and then simply select item C for 600, submit, and you'll see it change. That one was a lot faster. So if you're moderating this, say you're moderating this survey and you've got your computer that's hooked up to the projector, and so you don't have a way to turn the auction off. Let's say you want to end the auction at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. Well, I'm going to show you how you can do that remotely from your cell phone. So what you can do here is just go to download the Google Drive app, which I've already done. It looks like this right here. And then this is a link to your drive. So you remember I created a folder called Silent Auction. So, okay, so you'll see here's the form and the Google Sheet. So you can just click here on the form. It should open. And then you can simply click over here on responses and then click off on the accepting responses. And it happens that fast. So now if we jump back to our computer to test it out. Okay, so we jump back. Okay, and you'll see that it's shut off. So it says the form company XYZ silent auction is no longer accepting responses. Try contacting the owner of the form if you think this is a mistake. Okay, so at that point after the auction ends, there's the deadline, it's shut off, and it won't skew the data. Somebody can't get a last minute bid in after you close it. And then let me lastly conclude. I want to just show you how you can easily summarize the data. So this is where all the bids came in. So you'll just select the data, of all the bids, and obviously you'll have a lot more than this, most likely. You just come up here and choose data sort range. Data has header or row, so you want to sort it by auction item, and then by bid, and do Z to A on that, and then click sort. So you'll see that this did all the A bids, and the top one is the max. So this one here is your winner. Then you come down here to item B and you say, there's our winner. Item C, there's your winner. And item D, there's your winner. So the very first one in the row, that's going to be the winner. And then literally that's who you contact. You say Bob won item D. If you want to announce it, you can. But you could quickly summarize this for someone to give the details to the crowd and say Bob won item D with the winning bid of 1,000. In our case, it was a silent auction, so no one knew who actually won. We just knew the total amount that we raised collectively. You can do it either way, but I just wanted to show you how you can quickly get to the winners of each item. And so with that, I will wrap up and just say thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps. I would love if you leave some comments. If there's a better way to do something, feel free to improvise. And hopefully you raise lots of money and do lots of good with it.